And take two.
What are you looking
Why you just
for?
go just pull up like this, brother? What are you
What are you
doing?
looking for?
Okay. So this is take two. This is again your host, K.Y.R.A TV, your host Devon Sanders. This is take two, y'all. So this better be better. Okay. We have our amazing guest today. Lead with your name.
Eric is going to make me laugh. We are going to produce
Ah!
video.
Yeah, no, I love it. Oh, you can stay. No, because
I
pay
don't
attention.
get good answers like the first one. I'm telling you, Eric is. You should know that
Eric,
the thing they say about enemies of progress
huh.
is going to be the
It's
enemy of
it's
progress.
gonna be Eric. Okay, I don't deny any of them. But Eric, if you could do what you was gonna do, that's you. Ah, okay, and then still lead with your name and what do you do, love? And so I'll be. You're so funny. So I'll hold it and I'll just bring it closer.
So my name is Rama, and an MPhil student at the Institute of African Studies, and I just recently submitted my thesis work.
Yes, she did. Congrats to her. Okay, this was a lot smoother, the first interview, so we're gonna make this even better. Okay, so we're gonna go right into it. And where are you from?
So it's difficult for me to answer when I'm asked where I'm from because as you know, I'm a Fulani, and my ethnic group is spread across West Africa. So there's always this joke from so-called indigenes that, oh, you're not even a Ghanaian and all that. So it's kind of like difficult. However, my grandfather came from Burkina Faso, and joined the colonial military before independence in Ghana here. And he naturalized by virtue of the fact that he was part of the military and all that. So he met my grandmother here, and then they got married and had my mom and her siblings, and then he retired before IK Achampon's time. He was also a military leader. And then after retirement, he moved to Greater Accra region where he started cattle farming. So
You tell that fact. Yep. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
very important. So at some point in Adenta, he was one of the most famous farmers, and he even won third best farmer in the constituency.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, just a little pride here and there won't hurt anybody.
So exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
You know, like a lion's pride is. It means you got family. You got that extended family with you. So it's good sometimes. It's good. It's good though. Okay, let's go right into it. How do you feel about the current state of Africa and or the current state of Ghana?
So it's weird because we have a change of government, but it's more like it's governments that keep changing, but the status quo never changes because I mean the people running the affairs never seem to change. So before the MPP left, they signed up for the IMF program, and NDC is also going to be on it. So even if they are promising development, they are still like have to follow some guidelines and rules set by the IMF and all that. So but I'm very optimistic because these people are tolerant, this particular political party. So there's a lot of hope, and a lot of Ghanaians are hoping for a better future. But then, if you ask me, generally, the current state of Africa is not encouraging. We hope leaders do more. But if you look at the exceptions, you look at the Sahel, like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, there are a lot of improvements, and we are hoping that the wind blows to other parts. I'm not saying anybody should stage a coup. I'm just saying we are hoping that whatever the God that is interceding for them also intercedes for other African countries too. So yeah.
I like that. And just on the aspect of like true liberation, I know you mentioned the IMF and the World Bank and how they still have this kind of hegemony over, Ghanaian economics and therefore politics. So even though political heads might change, who runs the country might still be the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. You're doing great. Got a few more. What is one thing you wish more of the diaspora knew of African culture, like its tenets, its traditions? What are some things you wish African Americans, African diasporans knew about African culture specifically?
African spirituality. I'm a Muslim, however, like I'm very spiritual too, traditionally. And now I think sometime back Eric was telling me we should even stop referring to it as traditional religion because there's this notion that is traditional is opposite of modern and all that. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. So more like African spirituality.
Yeah.
So there was a point last week where I slept and woke up on the left side of my bed, like, so if you sleep this way, then you wake up this way. I quickly jumped back on the bed, and then I woke up on the right side. And my cousins were like, "Oh, that's African belief and all that." But then growing up, my grandparents made sure we always woke up at the right side of the bed, and it has no Islamic explanations and all that. The only thing they would tell us is that we have to do that because it will then enlighten your day. You'd have a positive day and all that. But if you wake up on the left side, it's
You
going to
cause
be,
trouble.
yeah,
Yeah.
cause trouble and all that. So those are things that, and not only that, there are a lot of examples, but because of time, I can't give them. Like
Okay.
when you immerse yourself in the African spiritual stuff, it liberates your soul to some
Yeah.
extent and all that. Even when you go to the waterfall, sometimes there's a waterfall at Dodo Wachinku where they perform these rituals and all that, and in the water, and then they ask you dip your feet in, and there's this I don't know, calmness it brings to your
Yeah.
soul
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
don't get even from other practices or
Yeah. Yeah.
something. So
Yeah.
yeah, African spirituality, and we shouldn't always view it in a negative light and say, oh, we are dealing with gods and all that. I'm not
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
anybody should go and worship God, but there are some
Okay.
aspects of it you can also take,
Yeah.
and especially for African Americans. And on
Yeah.
practices, I would recommend the collectiveness of how, that is to say, how Africans are communal and they like to help each other and all that. So a friend had told me when she was in the US, she fell on the street and nobody helped her and all that. But if it was in Ghana, you have witnessed that
Oh yeah.
collectiveness
Yeah.
yourself, how people would always rush to help you and even poke their noses where they are not even needed and all that. So yeah, but it's a
Yeah.
good thing. I would prefer
Yeah.
that to people not
Just
coming to my
ignoring
aid,
you.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I need it the
Yeah,
most.
the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like how you said it because African spirituality is the first spirituality. Like these are like before the Adam and Eve story, before the stories of Genesis, before the Ten Commandments. There were the 42 laws of Ma'at, Yoruba spirituality, like so many things. And so I know, I know. Rama is getting a little like antsy because we just had a 20-minute long amazing interview, and it's like she just wants to know if this audio is gonna work. So I know she's waiting for this to be done. I can see it in her face
No, I'm
just
not.
to check if the
No.
audio is gonna be good. But the audio is gonna be good though, and I'm gonna see if I can fix the first one. But that's another story. One thing that I did notice real briefly is just how kind everyone is and hospitable and just like that Ubuntu, like I am
Yeah,
because we are. You
exactly.
walk into a space, you greet them. No matter if it's someone you've seen every day who works there, a friend, you greet the elders, you say yes please, you say no please, you just put please in front of everything. And then more than anything, when you're eating, you immediately before you even take a bite say you're invited,
Yeah.
which means you can have some, rather than in the States where it's like you kind of have to ask, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's a no. So it's cool in that way. Okay, one of the last ones. um when you hear the word African Americans, the words African American, what comes to mind?
Anti-black, and people who detest black people. And this is not something I've seen experienced personally, but from
Okay,
the,
so tell me your personal. But I know the anti-black. I know, but
yeah,
we'll have in terms of your experience.
with,
Yes.
oh,
Yep. Say it. Yeah.
I my experience recently, like Karen's
Like
experience, or
the
what.
one you had recently just told me. Where in terms of I didn't really.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes. So previously, I didn't know that the history around how African Americans were formed in the
Hmm.
U.S. and all that. I've
Hmm.
always thought, whenever I heard is it a phrase,
The term. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
term
Hmm.
African American,
Hmm.
I've always thought of Ghanaians moving from Ghana to the U.S., or
Exactly. Yeah.
Nigerians or Beninois and all that. I've
Mm.
never really thought there were people who were descendants of enslaved Africans and
Mm.
all that. Not until recently, like, I mean, recently, 2017, when I joined the university and started like reading about a lot of this. It's embarrassing, but I'm just trying to be honest as
I know.
I
It's
can, because
okay.
this is going to be watched by over 5 million people. So
Yes,
yeah,
I receive it.
yeah,
I receive it.
yeah. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, so
And
I haven't really had that privilege to know about them prior to joining the university. But in the university, I took up courses in slave trade and Pan Africanism and all that, so I was able to know more about these people,
That's
and
good.
yeah,
Yeah, as you should. I'm proud. I'm glad you know that we exist.
thank you very much.
Yes, yes.
And I hope you don't lose your respect for me after this.
Not at all. You
Okay.
actually gained a little more. You lost some. I'm playing. No, okay, I got you. One of the last ones. How can we unite? We talk about Pan Africanism. We talk about Ubuntu. We talk about all of these different isms: Pan Africanism, Afrocentrism. Okay, how can African Americans, Africans, and the African diasporans in Australia, in Brazil, Southern, in Central, how can we unite?
So last year December, I traveled to Senegal for a conference, and after passing through immigration, the police officer at the gate didn't want to let my colleague and I in the country because he was like, "Oh, you guys are coming to seek for greener pastures. You're not going to live and all that, so we can't let you in our country and all that." And it was funny because the conference was on Pan Africanism, so I was like, "Ooh." And I had this very well rehearsed speech I was going to go and deliver to the francophone
And it
audience
was
and all
over.
that. And
Yeah.
then in the taxi, I was like, no, I'm not going to deliver that speech. I started at the airport.
Uh-huh.
So I,
I
so
hate this country. It sucks.
yeah, so I was like, so basically, what kept on ringing in my head was we're going to talk about how Africa would be united politically and all that. But I was like, beyond that, why don't we try and clean or erase those barriers that stop fellow Africans from moving freely, and or not only a human but also goods and services moving freely within the region. Like West Africa, Ghana is just in West Africa, just like Senegal. So for a policeman to even seize he even went to the extent of seizing our passports. That was very problematic for
Yeah,
me because I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like,
You
but
didn't have,
we
yeah.
are all in the same region and all that. I mean, you can move EU. When I
Yeah.
was in Iceland, for instance, I had an Iceland is not even part of the EU,
It's
but I
not.
could
Yeah, yeah.
travel to Germany with my
Wow, wow.
residence permit and
Oh,
all
wow,
that.
wow, wow.
So they allow for that, but then they came and then they divided these things. And after they left, the lines they have drawn or the borders didn't live with them, and
Exactly.
we still live with those things till today, and they are restricting us. So for us to
In
unite,
terms of political borders, yeah.
exactly. So for us to be able to achieve real Pan-Africanism, we need to work within these regions and try to erase these artificial borders that have been created by these colonists and colonialists and all that. And then maybe then we think about also, I think Ghana has started that already under the Akufo-Addo administration, inviting African Americans back home. It should also be adopted by other African countries, and not only people from the US, like people from Haiti, Brazil, and all that, because we don't want it to also look like we are just after their money and
It's
all that.
true.
Why are
Yeah,
we
yeah.
not inviting the
All
Haitians and
African
then the, yeah,
diasporas. Yeah,
exactly. So invite them back home. Those who want to come and settle, like a lot of lands on the continent, give them the lands to settle and all that. So yeah,
yeah. Okay. So just like make it better in terms of entry and
exactly.
how we exchange. I
Yeah,
like it. And I think to speak to that, I feel like the exchange, the communication between I think Africans, African Americans, and the diasporans can be better because I think even in the midst of your your travels, did you say to Senegal?
yes, Dakar.
If he just communicated maybe in a better way with you, or you with him, or like sometimes just like literally sliding them extra money, which is
Yeah,
corrupt,
yeah,
shun and corrupt, and then sometimes that's the language they speak.
yeah.
So it's like just
But I
being
wasn't
more,
going to pay a
not at
dime.
all, but just what I'm saying is making sure that one, we're on a higher level of
Yeah,
communication. We don't need to do the corrupt moves,
exactly.
and then making sure that we do communicate. And when we speak, we meet each other because sometimes we speak on different levels, and
Yeah.
and it gets lost. Okay, I'm gonna let you hold this. We're gonna do the same thing. Dear black woman, it is okay to
Yeah.
and tell people. Okay,
Dear black woman, it's okay to feel comfortable in your skin, and it's okay to have different body types and not subscribe to societal standards of how a perfect body should look like. And this is coming from somebody who's had body insecurities in the past. And yeah, thank you very much.
here we go, and that's a wrap. And she's fed up with this. She's like, this better work. It will definitely work.